The atmosphere on The View was electric as Tom Cruise joined the panel, flashing his iconic grin and exchanging playful jabs with the hosts. Whoopi Goldberg welcomed him warmly, joking about how he still looked like he was in his 30s. Tom laughed, brushing it off with a humble shrug and launching into stories about his latest high-octane film. The audience was charmed, hanging on every word as he spoke about doing his own stunts, flying helicopters, and running across the top of moving trains. Sunny Hostin praised his work ethic, noting how he's always been all in, and Tom nodded, explaining how he views filmmaking as a personal mission to inspire and entertain. The banter was light, humorous, and energetic, classic morning show gold. Even Joy Behar chimed in with a teasing comment about his impossible energy levels. To which Tom grinned, "It's all about commitment. I give everything I have to what I believe in." For the first 10 minutes, the segment was all charm and chemistry, with Tom owning the stage, drawing laughs and admiration. But the tone began to shift as Joy pivoted the conversation. "Now, Tom," she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, "you've always been intense. Passionate, sure, but some people think that intensity has crossed a few lines over the years, especially with your ties to Scientology. Any regrets?" The smile on Tom's face faded just slightly, almost imperceptibly, but it was there. He paused, blinked, and then responded coolly, "Joy, I think everyone has the right to their beliefs, and I've always said, judge me by my actions, not headlines." Joy raised her eyebrows and leaned in, not letting it go. "But when those actions include controversial things like some of the views associated with the church, you don't think it's fair for people to question you?" Tom straightened slightly in his seat, his tone still controlled but losing some warmth. "What people think is their right. But what I know is my experience. I don't answer to rumors, I answer to truth." The studio tensed. Whoopi attempted to steer the conversation back to neutral ground, but Joy pressed forward. Joy's voice, equal parts composed and confrontational, sharpened. "There was that moment, years back, with Matt Lauer. The way you dismissed psychiatry, for example, that rattled a lot of people. Don't you think that kind of influence is dangerous when you have such a big platform?" Tom's jaw tightened. "I wasn't dismissing psychiatry. I was advocating for understanding alternatives, something the mainstream doesn't always allow." Joy didn't back down. "Tom, come on. You ridiculed the man. You told him he didn't know what he was talking about." The audience gave a mixed response. Some clapped nervously, others sat stiff. Tom's tone hardened. "I was speaking from a place of conviction. People are over-medicated. I've seen it. You want to make me a villain because I care, because I speak out." The heat in his voice contrasted sharply with the earlier jovial tone. Sarah Ann looked visibly uncomfortable. Whoopi glanced at the producer off stage, unsure if she should intervene. "You care," Joy echoed. "But caring also means listening, and sometimes it seemed like you weren't doing much of that. You've built this image of being unstoppable, untouchable, but a lot of people think that image is also a wall." That's when Tom leaned forward, narrowing his eyes just slightly. "Joy, let me tell you something. I've lived under the microscope for 40 years. Every move I make is dissected, and yet, I'm still here. I've earned every inch of what I've built. And I will not let people who don't know me rewrite my story." The tension was palpable. The laughter had vanished. Joy replied evenly, "And yet, rewriting the story is kind of what the church has done, isn't it?" That was the match. Tom blinked and inhaled deeply, and then shook his head slowly. "You don't get to sit there and smear what you don't understand." There was a full beat of silence before he continued. "You've crossed a line. I came here to talk about the film, about art, about something that matters, and you want to dig into personal, spiritual areas that you clearly don't respect." Joy sat back, unfazed. "I respect honesty, that's all." Tom laughed once, short and humorless. "Honesty? You think you're the gatekeeper of truth? No, you're just another voice in the crowd trying to take down people who won't play by your rules." Sunny spoke up gently, trying to diffuse the clash, but it was too late. The fire had caught. Tom stood up slowly, removing the clip-on mic from his lapel. "I've given more to this industry, to people, than most even try to understand. I won't sit here and let you twist that." The live audience gasped as Tom stood, visibly frustrated, and turned toward the side of the stage. Whoopi quickly rose from her chair, saying, "Tom, hold on, this isn't what we wanted," but he held up a hand without looking back. "No disrespect to you, Whoopi. I came in good faith. But I don't tolerate disrespect disguised as journalism." He took 2 steps, then turned one last time, his voice steady but biting. "Next time you want to have a conversation, come with something better than tabloid bait." The camera scrambled to follow him as he disappeared backstage, leaving the panel in stunned silence. Joy simply folded her hands, not apologizing, not explaining. Sarah muttered, "Well, that went sideways." The production team cut to a sudden commercial break. But the internet didn't. Clips of the walk-off exploded across social media before the show was even off the air. Hashtags like hashtag Cruise on The View and hashtag Joy vs Tom trended within minutes. Viewers were polarized, some lauding Joy for holding Tom accountable, others blasting her for ambushing a guest under the guise of discussion. TikToks, memes, side-by-side reactions, and conspiracy threads multiplied at lightning speed. The line between interview and interrogation had blurred, and the ripple effects were immediate. Backstage sources whispered that Tom had refused post-show interviews, while insiders from The View insisted no boundaries were crossed. In public, the silence between the two parties spoke volumes. Over the following days, media outlets dissected every second of the segment, with body language experts, media analysts, and former Scientologists weighing in. Was Joy unfair? Was Tom too defensive? Was the ambush justified? Neither camp offered any statements. Tom's team declined requests for comment. Joy, during the next episode, addressed the controversy only briefly. "We asked the tough questions here. That's what we do," she said, without naming names. The show carried on, but the ghost of the confrontation lingered like smoke after a fire. Every guest that followed was subtly measured against that explosion. Every question now weighed against its potential to detonate, and in the quiet wake of the drama, audiences were left with more questions than answers. The line between performance and reality had collapsed for a moment, revealing the raw nerves beneath celebrity armor. Was it fair game? Was it ethical journalism? Was it showbiz? Everyone had their own take, and none of them matched. What remained was a split-screen culture war: passion versus scrutiny, privacy versus public right to know. Tom Cruise walking off The View became more than a clip. It became a symbol. For some, it represented strength and refusal to be shamed. For others, it was proof of ego under fire. But no one could deny one thing: the moment was real. And real, in an age of polish and PR, was rare enough to go viral. And so, the clip lived on, reposted, rehashed, memified, and editorialized, every pause, glare, and syllable reanalyzed in digital autopsy. And still, no resolution. No apology, no follow-up statement, no reunion special or behind-the-scenes tell-all. Just a moment in time, volatile, dramatic, and unresolved. The kind of moment talk shows are built to manufacture, yet only occasionally stumble upon authentically. The kind of moment that reminds viewers why they tune in at all. Because no matter how much is scripted, no matter how many laughs are planned, you never really know what's going to happen when real tension breaks through. Tom Cruise didn't just walk off The View. He left behind a fire that hasn't finished burning.